Good morning. Welcome to the Foster Swift Sports Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dave Russell. I'm joined with my two co-hosts, Charlie Sarche and Tony Delamonte. Today, we're pleased to be joined by former Michigan great and NFL great Braylon Edwards. Braylon, thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate it, Dave. Now, when you say former Michigan great, that means I'm no longer great at Michigan? How does that work?
You may be the greatest from Michigan, as a matter of fact. I would say you're the greatest Michigan all-time receiver, and you won the Blitnikoff Award in 2004. You're the only player in Big Ten history with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. You hold the Michigan record for receiving yards and touchdowns, and I believe the Big Ten TD record as well.
I do.
Yes. So, I would agree. You're still a Michigan great. Yes.
Always a Michigan legend.
Yes, absolutely. So, thanks so much.
I'm glad they've had a lot of great players come in the last 5 years because, you know, as much as it sounds cool when you're always, oh, man, you're our best player and this, that, and the third. Like, as a player, Tony could admit, you want to start seeing the younger guys become the best players. You want to start seeing more guys. So, you insert 21 through 25 and you get Aiden Hutchinson, who just got paid, and you get Blake Corum and JJ and Ojabo and Mason Graham. Now it's like, thank God. Thank God.
The difference now, though, Braylon, is no one stays for 4 years like you did.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually tried to leave after my freshman year. I thought it was going to be Stan. My father had played at Michigan to tell me, no, you're going to stay through this. You're going to learn how to deal with adversity and figure it out. No, it was your friend. It was Melissa Plater, my mom, who said, what? Transfer where? You waited your whole life to play here. Where are you going? What's going to be better than here? You stay your butt there. You figure it out. That's what it was back in the day. Like, imagine Tom Brady with transfer portal. Is he Tom Brady?
Exactly. It's a whole new world, and we certainly want to get into that with you. And so one of the things I want to tell our listeners, I had the privilege to work with Braylon, and he mentioned Melissa, his mom, Melissa, who acted as his business manager throughout his NFL career. And I really enjoyed working with both of you. It's been a little while since we've caught up, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on today.
Nah, I appreciate being on here, man. You're always a friend of the family. You always treat us with love and respect and kindness. So here we are. Let's rock and roll.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. And so, I kind of went through your list of accomplishments at Michigan, although I'm sure I missed a few because you did it all. We were kind of talking before we started recording, that 2004 Michigan State game. It's just unbelievable. Might be one of the best college performances I've ever seen. You went on to be drafted 3rd by the Cleveland Browns in the 2005 NFL draft. You played with the Browns from 05 and 09, and then with the New York Jets 2009 to 2010, and then again in 2012. You were the 49ers in 2011 and the Seahawks in 2012. So you had a long, prosperous NFL career. And now in doing radio, I believe.
I am. I'm doing media. I'm actually on the opposite side of the spectrum now. You know what I'm saying? In terms of interviewing players, giving them the benefit of the doubt, or being ingratiated into the media where I'm actually calling guys out. I try to call a lot of coaches out because that's not what happens. You know what I'm saying, from other media people. But no, I love being in this. I think it took me a while to kind of shed myself of the Braylon Edwards personality and the persona. What happens when you retire and you move on to greener pastures. It took me some time to find myself, establish my identity outside of football. And once that kind of happened through some trials and tribulations, some ups and downs, I found myself in 2021 with this network, the Woodward Sports Network, and it's allowed me to fall in love with the sport again. It's allowed me to report on the sport. It's allowing me to find, how to integrate myself into this new world because, sport has changed a tad bit. So I love it, and actually have my own show now, the Braylon Edwards Show with Matt Shepard, who is a staple in the sports world of Detroit.
Yeah, Braylon, you've obviously done a lot of interviews, and now with Woodward Sports Network. What would you say you like better? Do you like answering the questions more, or do you like asking the questions more?
I like asking the questions because how do I put this? I've learned how to pull the questions out of people while making them comfortable. Like, I can talk to athletes, I can talk to kids, I can talk to whoever and kind of connect with them. And then once I get that connection, I'm trying to pull out what I believe they want to share or I believe the audience wants to hear. But I'm not looking for a gotcha moment. Like I'm not the guy interviewing so that I can get something out of you, and now it looks good or it goes viral or gotcha. That's what I was looking for. No, no, no. I want you to tell your story. I want to have some fun doing it, and I think for me, it's kind of like it's like a bit of therapy, if you will. And pulling, I entered for case in point, this past Friday, Michigan's playing Michigan State. This past Saturday, so on Friday, I had one of the guys I played against who I respect, TJ Duckett, on the show. So we had TJ Duckett, big Michigan State guy, the infamous Spartan Bob game in 2001. We won't talk about, but he's now, this is real, but he's now shifted from TJ Duckett to becoming Todd Duckett. He's talked about what TJ Duckett was in the sport that he loved, and 8 years Atlanta draft and all that. But now he's Todd Duckett. He's a father. He's working on behalf of the Ronald McDonald House. He had that situation with his kids and his sons that was almost fatal, and they wrapped their arms around him. So, to watch TJ Duckett, who was 6'1.5", 250, this big bruising back running for 200, to watch him in this vulnerable space, 210 pounds, talking about family and kids and children, like that's the stuff that appeals to me. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna interview some of the current guys as well, like Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs, and connect with the crowd. But interviews like that, pieces like that, they do my heart joy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can give us some tips at the end of this. We're still somewhat new.
Okay.
So
sure. I'm still new too, man. Trials and tribulations.
Playing in the NFL for a long time, and then obviously being a star at Michigan, I feel like you have a different perspective in the media. A lot of former players go back to media, but do you think there's an added perspective when you're the one talking to players because you can relate a little bit more? You know what they're going through. You kind of understand a lot of the, I guess the things that they are going through.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of times people in the media that haven't necessarily played the game, and again, like there are people that do it extremely well within the media, the different levels of the media. You don't have to have played the game to be able to be good at what you do. Tom Rinaldi is one of my favorite people in the interview space. Having a chance to work with him, he's never played football, but he knows how to connect with the athletes. And I think what it is just giving them a little bit of grace. Like not coming in and saying that, hey, look, now you're innocent and you can do no wrong because you're a player and I'm a player, but giving them a little bit of grace and maybe let's see what the story is. Let's see how this develops. Let's see what there is there versus just coming from a space of talking at someone. I want to talk with you. I want to have a conversation, and being on the other side where people have either judged me before they knew what was going on and they were wrong, and I remember that energy, or me being player and knowing, yeah, I was already doing some BS and it's okay to call me on it from time to time. So kind of knowing that and having that, I think athletes respond a little better to that. That's why you're starting to see a lot of, well, not starting. That's why the boom of the podcast space where the athlete took off is because athletes, they prefer to get interviewed by other athletes. If you're starting to notice that, and that's kind of what it is. So right place, right time.
One of the things I want to ask you about, Braylon, part of this podcast is, we've been representing some, high school kids getting recruited in college, and college players that, maybe are transferring or negotiating revenue sharing deals, which is obviously something that wasn't around when you were getting recruited. But, when I talk to people, and I was on an interview this week and was asked the question for, those people out there who say, college, football, it's changed. It's not good. But I think you're like the example that I would give to exactly why players need to be compensated. You look at the amount of money that you would have made, that you did make, the University of Michigan, the Big Ten Network, and I know you had a recent lawsuit, but can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. Athletes like myself, the reason why we filed that lawsuit back at the beginning of the season last year, the Michigan season that was, myself, Mike Martin, Denard Robinson, Sean Crable, one of my former teammates, is that it's not necessarily what happened in the past. I mean, it is, but it's about the continued use of the name, image, and likeness through various programs, whether they're showing no games with new commercials, whether they're still using pictures of you. Like I went to the Big Ten Championship to do some work with MasterCard. This has been 2022, and biggest day that they had my face, my likeness, a picture, talked about what I did, the Big Ten, trying to represent, because obviously Michigan's here. So who do we pull from? Let's pull Let's pull Woodson. Let's pull Braylon. Let's pull Tyrone Wheatley and Jim Harbaugh, man, things of that nature, and you don't get compensated for it. So they still use your name, image, and likeness. However, they don't compensate it. But the athletes today, they're benefiting from it, and they should. You know, you look at a situation like Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. Now, I know this is the extreme one, but yeah, it's extreme because it's extreme. Texas A&M as an institution before 2013, I want to say something like, don't misquote me, they were worth 200 million, give or take. Insert his dominance in 13, 14, gets drafted in 15, brings a Heisman to College Station the whole night. Their estimated revenue had gone up to 1.1 billion. Like, and this is just an institution. Like, this is what the Johnny Manziel effect was, and you can't tell me that's because all of a sudden there became a lot of Texas A&M fans out of the woodworks just because they wanted to go to College Station. I think it was a guy wearing the number 2 jersey that was doing this thing. So when you see that, players deserve a piece of all that the NCAA has kept them away from for years upon years upon years. The NCAA blanks, as Alvin Mack said in the program famously.
Yeah, and I think those are 2 great examples, you and Johnny Manziel. You think about if you were coming into college and had the careers you had right now, I mean, I can't even imagine what the value would be.
And how famous you made in that number 1 jersey, too.
Yeah. But that's the thing, too. My dad says I'm a little more humble than people think. Dave knows me. Like, I know who I am. I'm a super humble guy. My dad always talks about it's the number 1 effect. You bring it up. Like, obviously, when I got to Michigan, the number 1 jersey was worn because of Dave Terrell had just came there, but those are really still hanging on to Anthony Carter, who was the guy. He's number 1 at University of Michigan. Insert me. When you see one now up there in Ann Arbor, it's not Roman Wilson they're wearing it for. You know, it's not one of these 7 guys Jim Harbaugh gave the number 2 that transferred. It's not these guys they're wearing the number for. They're wearing it because, one, it's iconic, because AC made it iconic, which is why AC should still receive something down the line. And then so because the guy that you pointed out holds all the records at Michigan and even in the Big Ten. So it's a real deal. But I think my era in class, there's no ill will to these kids today. They got to find a better way to regulate the system, but we have no ill will.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie. So I remember passing your picture in Schembechler Hall with the itchy sweater on, and so that
and no line, no haircut. Right? Spur of the moment, saw me in the parking lot. They said, "Hey, we've been trying to track you down for a couple of weeks. Get in here, take this picture." So when you see it, there's infamous no haircut.
I feel like that's always how it goes. But how did that come to be? Did you ask for number 1? Did you go talk to Coach Carr? How did that work?
So I wanted to wear number 1 getting there. My father played at University of Michigan with AC. So growing up, it was AC this, AC that. AC did this. AC could do this. Oh, you remember this play? Oh, let me show you this. So it was all about AC, and AC is directly connected to the number 1. So growing up, it was always 1. Like, I wanted to play 1. I wanted to play wide receiver. I wanted to wear the number 1 at Michigan. So that was the goal. That was the game. Finally, I get offered the scholarship, and I'll never forget. It was a Wisconsin game. Speaking of Wisconsin, it's a Wisconsin game, Tony, and it's 2000. It's Dave Terrell, number 1, caught a touchdown towards maybe like 2-3 minutes left in the game. We beat Wisconsin. It's a big win. Lloyd comes in the locker room, and hey, you want to go to university? I said, yes. He didn't have to be. I was like, yeah, what have you been doing? So the first thing I asked him, though, that same day in the locker room, I said, I want to wear number 1. We'll talk about it. Okay. And when I got there in the summer, I asked, because there was 80 in my locker. I said, 80? Who the hell is 80? So when I go talk to him, I said, Coach, I asked you about number 1. He said, well, you got to earn it. He said, when you wear the number 1, this is what comes with it. He said, we want to get you to earn it, which was crazy because Dave Terrell got it as a freshman. So I was confused. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, this is the institution I want to go to. If this is what comes with it, then by all means, I'm going to figure out what that earning it means. And after my freshman year, I go up there. He told me I didn't earn it yet. He said, there was some situations, there was some immaturity issues. There's some things we want to work on this year. And also, you didn't even start last year. So check. I come back after my sophomore year. How we doing now? What's going on? I'm second team all Big Ten. What's this look like? He said, You've earned it. He said, but there's some things I'm watching for, and there's some things that have to come with that, and there's some things that I want you to get better at. But long story short, I wanted it, I asked for it, I was told I had to earn it, figured out what that process looked like. I did that. I got the number one, and the rest is history. So it's a great story, but there were definitely, there's a lot between asking and getting. There was a lot that I had to work through, whether it was my own immaturity, whether it was insecurity, whether it was, just, hey, look, do it your way. You know what I'm saying? Do it your way.
So, Braylon, besides the number one and besides the scholarship that you got, were you allowed to receive anything from the University of Michigan while you were there, maybe as far as compensation goes?
No, the only thing that you would receive were chits. Chits were kind of like, because they're supposed to provide meals. Tony knows that
Pizza
they
House.
have to provide meals for you every day. Every day they're responsible for providing you with meals. Some days they don't use training table, and when they don't use training table, they have to provide you with these chits. The chits give you $15 at local restaurants, whether it's Cottage Inn, whether it's Outback, whether it's Maize and Blue, Spots, all the things. And this is how you feed. Outside of that, there was, when you get to a bowl game, you get per diem. Once again, they're responsible for providing you with cash on your trip and responsible for providing you with meals every day. That's the only type of compensation that you receive from the University of Michigan. There are no they're bowl gifts. But outside of that, there is no compensation. There are no gifts. There are no things you can attach yourself to and be paid. Funny story, Mike Martin, who I was also in the case with, when he was at University of Michigan, he created a little T-shirt company because I guess he had maybe seen Catholics versus convicts, or he saw something along those lines, and he saw an end where, I just created animation of my face, which last time I checked is mine. I just put some corny sayings on there like, Mike Smash, or things of this nature. He started doing that and started making money. He made 10 grand. And within maybe 5 weeks or so, made 10 grand, and he had put in 1,000 of his own dollars. Well, they legitimately, when I say, hey, talking about University of Michigan compliance, which is NCAA, I used to hate that little office in Weidenbach Hall. They sent him a cease and desist. And the cease and desist was basically, no. You can't make any access money off your name. And Mike always infamously tells the story. Mike's a big guy, too. He has this big check. He's like, what do you mean? It's my face. It's my mug. It makes no sense. So you mean you own this? And that's kind of giving you a snapshot of what the NCAA was for all of the years. You own a person. Like last time I checked, my mom and dad gave me this. They gave me this and allowed me to walk into this world. And now you gave me a scholarship, and you're telling me that's all mine. It was an interesting story, but it gives you a better perspective of how it felt for us. Kind of looking back at it, it's like, they really owned us, and a lot comes with it. You get a scholarship. Now, I'm a part of the best institution there is in the world, and I believe that with all my heart. I have access to friends and people and groups, and there's nowhere in this country I can't find a friend. There's nowhere in this country I can't find a situation because of this. Now, with that being said, that means you get a chance to own me and everything that comes with me. Seems a little one-sided, even with the perks that come with being a Michigan alum and student.
As I recall, too, the stories that I heard when you were at Michigan, you came from successful family that, you'd get questioned on what car you were driving.
Oh, Mom told you that story?
Yes.
Yeah, 100% is NCAA compliance again. There was a situation where my mom at the time was driving a Cadillac CRX, which is kind of like one of those hybrid trucks back in 03, 04. She's driving that. My stepfather drives an Aurora. I think Stan, my dad, Pops was driving a Durango, or there's 4 vehicles in the family. Somebody complained and said, "Hey, Braylon's mom has this. He's wearing number 1. Now I'm kind of out here. Now, well, let's go make sure he's doing things right. Well, let's go get him in check." They legitimately questioned why my mom was driving that car, which now that I look back at 42 is highly disrespectful, highly irregular for you to come to my mom. They brought her up to Michigan. My parents had to come to Weidenbach. This is during my junior year when the allegation came out, and sit there and deal with an allegation came out because my mom worked all her life hard so that she has her own. My stepfather was an educator. He also taught classes. He also was a doctor before my parents got married. My father, University of Michigan. it's not just some black kid that's coming up here that has the stereotypical structure. So now we have to ask these questions. No, I'm vetted, and you know my father around these parts. So that's the type of energy that the NCAA was back in the day. And it's not Michigan, so that's why I never really got too mad at Michigan, because it's the NCAA's compliancy program that they fit on each campus. So he's at Michigan or she's at Michigan, but they're working for the penny pinchers.
Would you have I remember, I think it was first day of camp, we would have the like 5 hour long compliance NCAA meeting where they walk through all the rules. Would they do that too?
100%. Like, it's the longest meeting ever. Like, legitimately, like that was the first time ever in one of those meetings. It's funny stories. I tried dip. Like, you know, all the linemen, all the quarterbacks, all the coaches, they're putting the big wines in there and they're dipping. And I never done dip. I don't
throw
dip.
up?
So I was like, all the guys are doing it before the meeting. I said, you know what? I'm going to try dip and zone out. This has been like my sophomore year. It was the fastest I have ever been, like, discombobulated, I guess you can say, whether it be alcohol or, you know, marijuana or whatever. It hit so quick that I had to run out of the meeting room and throw up. So yes, so I definitely know about those compliance meetings, and because of that, I'll never forget. But they were long, 5 hours, and they go through everything. I'm talking about line by line, and then they flip it down line by line. So it was one of those things. If you did something, you really couldn't say they didn't tell you, because they went over in amazing detail. Everything.
Yeah, I remember walking out of that meeting and calling my parents because they were coming up and they were going to take one of my buddies out who's on the team to lunch. And I was like, you know, we were pausing on whether or not my dad was a booster who could buy lunch for my, you know, friend on the team. It's just so absurd.
That was another way we got in situations, because, you know, Stan went to Michigan, played at Michigan, and then I had friends. So that also was a thing that came up my junior and senior, because he took Prescott Burgess, Lamar Woodley, and Sean Crable all stayed at my house their freshman summer. So that's some big guys. They ate me out of house at home, and I didn't have a lot of money back then. It's not like now. But they might owe me some money. That's who I need. And Lamar, you got it, big guy. No. But Dad took us out to eat, you know, a couple times, and I remember he took us to this event. And there were some people there from Michigan at the event that got back to, you know, Lloyd, got back to some things. And it was like, hey, you know, Braylon, your father can't be doing these things. I said, that's my dad. These are my friends. And he would do this if they were just in school at East Lansing. If they were just in school at Toledo, like, why can't you do so? It's like trying to comb through that. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, even now they're sitting, you know, young college students down and having them sign these big contracts for their NIL rights now, and they don't have somebody to look over that fine print all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and Braylon, with your perspective, I'd love to know what you think, you know, what it should look like going forward. I think the majority of folks agree that, you know, student athletes should be compensated, but, you know, this week we hear that G League players can now play, you know, and so, you know, what in your mind is a good framework?
Man, that's tough. Like, we would have to sit down, you know, we would have to order some Buddy's pizza and just kind of figure out what this line looks like. Because at what point do we get someone, excuse me, at what point do we get to when a person is like, I don't even have to go to school anymore? At what point do you get them a graduate school saying, hey, look, as long as I'm in school, and them just finding ways to keep athletes in school, just finding ways like, shoot, you know what, when them lowering the requirements. Because we had to take, 12 as a minimum? Back in the day, when did it get to the point where, like, look, 6 is good enough? Because you can't tell me that in this current space with NIL and what it means to the institutions and money that's coming in and things of that nature, cats aren't really academic athletes anymore. It's not academic athletes anymore, because you mean to tell me if your $10 million quarterback fails econ, he's not playing in the bowl game? He's not playing in the college playoff?
Right.
With all those boosters that have donated money to pay that $10 million? I think it's above that. So at some point, you're already paying them. That's why it was amateur back in the day. It was that they're not getting paid and they can extend in grad school and et cetera, et cetera. at what point do you get to where it's just like, all right, you can play in college as long as you want? I never crossed that line. The NIL space, I don't know how that money, I don't know how you put a cap on that. You can say, well, look at the rankings. Maybe put a cap on the rankings. Maybe you put a cap on jersey sales and things of that nature. Well, they're not selling jerseys in the volleyball shop. They're not selling as many jerseys at the track and field spots. Are they even selling track and field jerseys? So how does that go? Only thing I can have a regulation for would be transfer portal. And that'd be the only thing I can help with. The money, I don't know how that goes. The transfer portal, you get 2 transfers. You get 2 transfers, and it can't be within the same year. Like, that's it. Now, you get legitly 2 transfers, and then you can even regulate those 2 transfers. Maybe you get one before your red shirt, and then you get one your senior year. I don't know. But that's the space that I would regulate, because guys are legitimately going to 4 schools a year. You can't even keep track of a roster. I don't know who the hell plays for anybody outside of Michigan.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that, and maybe we get to a point where they collective bargain and, sort some of that out with the players getting some representation.
Right.
Yeah.
NCAA, like, you have no one to blame but yourself. Like, you knew this was coming down the pipeline in 2013, and you did absolutely nothing.
Yep.
You sat there, tried to see how long you collected, and then you knew again in 2016. Like, you knew that it was going to launch it. They told you, and well, and now we're here, and now we're all trying to play NCAA commissioner.
Well, maybe that's your next stop is NFL NCAA commissioner.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know the Big Ten doesn't like me.
So, Braylon, question for you. Your mom was your business manager. I just got to hear, how was that? You guys obviously must have a really good relationship to be able to make that work. How was that process through your time getting drafted and all through college?
It was... Dave remembers it. It's absolutely great because I'm a mama's boy. Like, I'm a mama's boy. Like, I love my mother. Like, that's my girl. Like, that's great. But it was interesting because we were like business partners, and we also were mother and son. So there would be moments where we get into some pretty heated conversations or heated text messages or some emails come through or differences of opinion on how to handle certain situations or handle money. Because that was another thing, like, being my manager, guess what else mom has access to? She has access to my accounts. So when you go to Miami and you blow $50K on bringing people down and, just the parties and the eating and the things, like, if your mom's not your manager, you're answering to yourself, and eventually you're like, all right, I'm doing dumb stuff. But when your mom's managing, she's calling you, what the hell are you doing? What is going on down there? Are you okay? So a lot of relinquishing power, figuring out my own and understanding what to listen to and how to maneuver on my own. That was great. But the most amazing thing was I trusted it. Like, you hear horror stories.
Yep.
Horror stories of individuals that get taken by managers that put them in phony deals, run them up in BS, to steal money for them, set them up with shady people. Like, it goes on all the time, as I'm sure So to not have to worry about that, to legitimately know that I can be immature and just run around and do what I wanted to, or I can, have these business meetings or meet these people and know that I was taken care of by my mom, who put the best people around me, whether it was Dave Russell, whether it was Sherrod Rogers, whether it was Deborah or JP Morgan, whether it was Dave, my accountant lawyer. You remember all these people. Like, she put
Tatiana.
Tatiana, the pit bull.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember the pit bull. So she allowed me, wrong choice of words. She helped me choose a great team around me. And that was the best thing about having someone that you trust. Also, my mom is sharp as a whip. Like, my mom's not some mom playing manager. My mom was this intellect and understood how to move, how to talk to people, how to treat people with respect, but get out of it what was deserved. Like, that's who my mom was. So it was great having her as my manager.
Yeah, and I think the setup was great. It allowed you to focus on football. Like you said, you completely trusted her. She put great people in places to make sure your best interests were taken care of. And it just, I always admired that relationship. You had a great relationship.
Yeah, it's still strong as ever. And it's still strong. It's still my girl.
I wanted to go back real quick to your recruiting at Michigan. So you were in high school. I think you broke your leg. Was that your junior year?
Yeah, my sophomore year.
Sophomore year. Okay.
So like it would have been May my sophomore year.
Yeah. So then, did you miss your junior year season?
I did not, but I should have.
Okay.
Like basically, I broke my tibial tuberosity. I still had this ugly scar on my knee now from it, but broke that in May. Had rehab with the Henry Ford and West Grand Boulevard. This was before the Performance Center, so I was going to Henry Ford itself. Rehab and got back to play my junior year, but my knee was. And the atrophy was still there. The rehab process hadn't taken. I wasn't strong, so it was an ugly year. So when people understand that side, the junior year is probably back then your most pivotal year,
right,
as an athlete, no matter what sport you're playing, like especially your football. But junior year is kind of when, all right, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to be. This is what the start looks like. Recruit this. And then senior year, you put the touches on that. So to have this major knee surgery and to kind of basically just go through the motions of a junior year, to go through that, and then let's just say you skip ahead and then you see what happens at the end of January 05, you're like, there's no way that this happened. There's no way that, because I had no stats. Going my junior year. King High School was a Detroit public school high school, and back in the day, they were just running. Like, if you were going to have success going to college out of the PSL, you would be offensive lineman, you'd be a running back, or you'd be somewhere on the defense. And you'd be defensive line, you'd be DB, things where you don't necessarily need other players if you're that good. Wide receiver, what? I need a quarterback. I need an offensive coordinator. Yeah, I need someone that understands that. And PSL just didn't have that. So I go over to Bishop Gallagher. There's a pipeline there with Coach George Tahiti, rest in peace. But he taught me how to play the game. Like, I learned how to play football. And I love you, Dad, and all those things. But George Tahiti taught me how to play between the tackles. He taught me the physicality. He taught me the team aspect. Like what Bo Schemberger said, the team. Coach Tahiti made sure I understood what that meant. So, and then it just changed. Everything clicked. God is amazing.
So at what point did you get calls from other schools? When did Michigan enter the picture?
So going into my senior year, the summer going into my senior year, I had, I basically finally was healthy from the knee surgery the year before. You're young, you heal fast. So I was healed. I was faster. I was taller. I kind of grown into this body. The athleticism caught up to the height that I now had acquired. So I started running with my dad again in the summer. And I started going to some of these camps. And I went to this camp in Canada in May. And it's kind of like a last chance camp for Canada. Like, it's a lot of high school players in Canada who play at extra grade and they don't necessarily get the recruiting that we get. And it was at Windsor. It was at the University of Windsor, right across the bridge, right by the McDonald's. And I go over there and I basically showed out. Like, I ran a 4.5, and this is when I was 17. So ran like 4.5 and some change. I just turned 17. 4.5 and some change, caught everything, made everybody look crazy, made me look silly. Michigan scouts were there, Jim Herman. And Jim Herman says, hey, he called my dad. He said, you hiding Braylon? Like, they all know my father on there. Like, you hiding Braylon? Like, what is this? Like, is this some type of sabotage? So I go to the Michigan camp that summer and put on the show, for lack of a better word. Like, I won the Smokehouse, which is the 40. Like, they were the 5-star quarterbacks will only go with me. So I'm having success. I'm doing all the things. I leave Michigan camp, and the next camp I went to Michigan State. Bobby Williams offered me, like, after one-on-ones. Like, he saw the one-on-ones, receivers versus DBs. He saw, okay, you and your dad come up to the office. He said, we want to offer you to Michigan State. So now I have State on the board, and I think Michigan knew that. And having State on that board, I was in back of Michigan's mind for a while, and when a spot opened up, they were like, "All right, cool, let's lock this in." But they almost blew it. I almost was a Spartan.
It's weird how colleges are like that. It's like you got to wait for someone else to give the first one, and then we'll do it. So did you commit immediately?
Michigan, or Michigan State?
Michigan.
100%.
Yeah.
Because my dad, I had Michigan in the crib growing up. I had Michigan in the wallpaper. I had the onesie. I was in the locker room. Like, I was in the locker room when Jim Harbaugh was on the sideline. Yeah. Like, that's how far back me on the sidelines running around. So it was always a dream. But then you get older, Michigan State offers, and Michigan, oh, they don't want me. You know what? The hell with them. I'll go do it myself. In fact, I'm going to go to Ohio State. Yeah, I'll show you. And then Michigan State offers, and then there's no Michigan. There's no Michigan. So you're like, all right, cool. I accepted the fact that it'd be Michigan State. Hell, they got T.J. Duckett. I know Charles Rogers. Jeff Smoker is supposed to be this great quarterback out of Pennsylvania. I mean, we know how that turned out now. But I said, I can make this work. I can make this work. The second Lloyd Carr said, hey, do you want it? Yes. What took you so long? Yeah. Like, yes, I want to go to Michigan. Like, I've been dreaming about this my whole life.
Yeah, Braylon, while we're talking about recruiting, what advice do you have for high school athletes that are currently going through that same recruiting process? And what would you say to somebody that's trying to decide between going to, a dream school like Michigan and taking less money, or going to a different school that's offering them more money?
Like, go to where you feel like is at home. And that's an old school cliche saying, but go to what feels like home. Like, when you go to these college campuses, like when you go in there, like see how it feels to walk these campuses. Like, see what it feels like to be around these people. Talk to some of the guys that are already on the team. Do a deep dive with the coaches. Like, how is your position coach? Because you will not spend any more time than anyone in the college than your position coach. Like, he will become an uncle figure, a brother figure, a father figure, a disciplinarian. Like, that's how Soup was. Like, so, Soup. So you'll never spend that much time with anybody as you do that. Who is this individual? Do I like this person? Do I respect this individual? Can I learn from this individual? Do I think I'll get better at my craft? And how is the head man? Because there's still no women head coaches yet. Like, how's the head man? Like, is the head man somebody that you believe in? Is it somebody that you will follow? Because if these aren't the things, then it doesn't matter what the money is. Like, it's a little bit bigger than money. Now, you got to find a place where it intersects, like your price point and your beliefs. Find that place that they intersect, and the spot that they intersect is where you should be. Like, and it may not be the bigger school, it may be a slightly smaller school, but I like this school a little bit better, man. It fits who I am. I like the campus. I think this team. I think this is where I'm at. So find a place to where that money, because it's a different day, and you have to go somewhere where they value what you are. They value the potential for what you can be. Find a place for that, and a place that fits just who you are as a person. Wherever that place is, where they meet, then that's the place you go to. Whether it's Vanderbilt, like Paiva,
yep.
or it's, University of Michigan, like Bryce Underwood. Like,
absolutely.
Braylon, you're one of those people where the moment is just never too big for you. How do you develop that?
I think that comes from having my father that played it, did it, and then also my mom's temperament. Like, my mom, she's relaxed about everything. Like, there's nothing that can befall her that she can't pray about and come up with how we will move through it. Like, that is a reserve and a resilience that is reserved for her. That's where I get that from. And then my dad, he played at the highest level. My dad played with AC. My dad got drafted 3rd overall. My dad played against Ohio State. My dad played against, the big time game. He played in the big time games. He blocked for Earl Campbell, played with Warren Moon. So just seeing that kind of quietness and chillness about the moment or the game, like, he introduced me to so many athletes or entertainers growing up. So it's not that big a deal. Like, I met Michael Jordan, and it was like, oh, yeah, how you doing? It's a pleasure to meet you. Your airness, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, like Ken Griffey Jr. back in the day. I was hanging around Warren Moon. I was hanging around all the quarterbacks, Jim Kelly back in the day. So to have that as a kid, you get older, you're like, man, it's 100,000. Like, I've been saying this since I was a kid. I've been walking these sidelines since I could barely walk. And I think somewhere along the line, it gets embedded into your membrane. And I think that psychology I grew up there. Like, I don't see the big house as the big house. Like, everybody sees it's the big house. It's 115,000. Now, when I went to that Zach Bryan concert, it was a lot of that
I sold my tickets.
Different. Yeah. But I see the big house as, that's just home. I take my shoes off. Yeah, that's how Tony, that's how we look at it. Take your shoes off, especially, that last night of training camp. Take your shoes off, kick it in the end zone, just relaxing. I can tune out all 115,000 because I've been there so many times. Like, it's not the big house, it's home.
So we really appreciate your time, and I don't want to take up too much more, but I do want to ask you because I've heard you talk about being drafted by the Browns and what that was like. Obviously, that was very exciting to be drafted third. I don't know, you were so excited to be drafted by the Browns and what that looked like, but can you talk about that a little bit?
I can't. So legitimately, you're just excited throughout the process. And I'll fast forward through all the lead up and just get to draft day. There's still at this time, it's not like now. Like now, kind of slated. And back then, it's still a guess. Like we didn't find out Alex Smith was going number 1 overall until I want to say like midnight the night before. Hey, midnight the night before, it was like, all right, he's probably going number 1. And he found out that day. But after that, we didn't know what was what. Miami was the team that showed the most interest. And in my mind, Stephen Ross is the owner. I legitimately was a junior when he donated the first $338 million that he donated. So he's a Michigan guy. The Dolphins are telling me that they're going to recruit me. So they're going to bring me in. So I'm cool.
And that's Saban at that time, right?
What? This is Nick Saban's first year.
Yep.
And they, this is my first time going to Miami. Was that January? Lamont, you remember Lamont, Dave?
Yes.
Lamont Smith was my agent at the time. All Pro Sports took me to Miami after the bowl game, and I went out there and was like, "It's like this every day. It's the weather, like the views. If you get my drift, I said it's like this every day. And wait, the parties, they don't stop." So when Miami was on the clock at 2, I just was like, I'm going to Miami. I started buying, pink shirts and linen pants. And Dave, we got the first condo out there in Miami, kind of locked and loaded, ready to go.
Yeah, I think that's how I met you. Actually, was that condo.
Which is crazy though, Dave, because the condos in Coconut Grove, meanwhile, like where the Dolphins practice is way out in Plantation, is way further. So it was stupid looking back, but fast forward, it's the night of the draft. I think I'm going to Miami. I haven't talked to the Browns. I don't even know anything about the Browns except Kellen Winslow got drafted there the year before. When the Dolphins draft Ronnie Brown, number 2, our team is kind of, man, all right, what's going to happen now? Well, I had a lot of talks with Chicago at 4. I said I talked to the Tennessee Titans, who are at 6. I said I talked to the Vikings, who are at 7. And Matt Millen, who had a relationship with my father, he said, well, look, we want him. Like, if he's there, we'll package this thing up, because they had a 27th pick and they had the 10th pick. 10th, they took Mike Williams. 27, they took Sean Cody out of USC. So I'm like, all right, well, I didn't think about the third team at all. I never thought about the number 3 pick, which was the Cleveland Browns. I never thought in a million years I'd go there. When then Romeo Cannell calls you, 2 minutes left on the clock, I'm like, well, Braylon, how you doing? With the New York, with the Cleveland Browns. You want to be a Brown? Hell yeah. Like, we talking about? Yes, let's go. Sign me up, because it's 3rd pick. Only thing you're thinking about is getting off the board. That's all you're thinking about. So fast forward, they draft me. I go on stage, I do the interviews. Everything's great. We're cool. There's a snow advisory that year. So everyone that was drafted, they didn't fly out. So Alex didn't go to San Fran that night. Ronnie didn't go to Miami that night. Who else? Antrell Roll didn't go to Arizona that night. And Cedric Benson, rest in peace, he didn't go to Chicago that night. Everybody stayed. And then they did the Sports Illustrated picture, which, guess what? There's one person not in it. They all left the next night. Cleveland flew me out that night. And this is when it started to set in to where I was going. The 3rd pick overall kind of just, it fleeted out the window. We get to the airport, Teterboro, jump on the flight, get up. I'm talking 15 minutes in.
Oh, man.
Turbulence, shaking. This is my first time on a G5. Excuse me. This is my family's first time on a jet. Like my sister, like my best friend, Hayes, Dave. Yeah. Like we're legitimately on this plane. We can't even enjoy this 3rd pick overall. We can't even enjoy this because we're rocking and rolling, and you see the snow coming down. And then when we land in a blizzard. We landed in the blizzard. We go over to the facility in Berea and get there. I'm finally making it in. Like, all right, cool, we're here. We made it, thank God. We get into the press conference, and I sit down behind the podium, the mic, and I'll never forget as sure as to this day. The first question came up, Hey, Braylon, did you drive your Bentley here? I said, no, this ain't gonna work. I said, no, it's not gonna work. Because the fact that you asked me that dumb question, I would curse, but the fact that you asked me that dumb question, like in the snowstorm, like the first thing you could have done, in my opinion, is, hey, glad you and your family made it safe. I know the snow's crazy outside. You can get to some jokes. Like, we have personality.
Yeah,
Like, it's fine.
right.
But that was the first question asked. So I say that to say, the third pick was the third pick at the time. But once you get to the airport, there's turbulence, there's snow, you land in a blizzard, and the first question you get is, why didn't you drive your Bentley in the snow? You already feel a type of way about me. Like, that energy from the University of Michigan, like, it followed me. So that's why it was a rocky situation in Cleveland. There are a lot of good times in Cleveland. To be honest, like, the good times outweigh the bad. Like, I'll be honest, like, we were blessed to get drafted third overall to the Cleveland Browns, the organization that tried to make it like a home, just didn't shake, it just didn't take. But there were some great people down there in the community. And for the 7,000 a-holes, there were hundreds of thousands of good people, good energy that, they did right by me and my family. So looking back, I'm 42. I'm mature now, man. I'm just grateful to have had that opportunity. But at 22, it was a mistake by the lake and all the bad.
Yeah. We could talk to you for an hour about your NFL career. I did want to ask real quick about the Jets. You guys go to the AFC Championship 2009, 2010. I think there's a generation of Jets fans today that look at that as like the heyday. You guys had a lot of success. What were those years like? What sort of led to that success?
Yeah, man. So I get traded. Eric Mangini calls me in the office on Wednesday. It's like 6:45 in the morning. He says, well, Braylon, traded you to the New York Jets. I was like, hell yeah, they're 3-1. So you get to New York, and it's just, you hit the ground running, man. Rex's energy was like unmatched, it was unparalleled. Team came together at the right time. There was the right amount of veterans on the team. And we got some guys that are going to go in the Hall of Fame that were on that team in 2009 and 2010. And we get to the AFC Championship in 2009. And, I had an 80-yard touchdown in the first half. And I just had this surreal moment where I'm like, I just left the Cleveland Browns to start the season, and now I'm a half away from going to the Super Bowl, which is crazy. And, the Jets are one of those franchises. You got 69, but funny story, Jets won the Super Bowl in 69, but they didn't have NFC, AFC championships back then. So the Jets are 0-4 in championship games, and I was a part of 2 of them. So in 2010, we go back. The reason why that's the heyday for the Jets, because it was back-to-back AFC championships. I didn't realize this until I went back a couple years ago. Like, they herald me, which I think is undeserving, but I will take it. They herald me as if I won them a Super Bowl. Like, they herald me as if I played 10 seasons and have 10,000 yards. Like, the way they treat me, the way they have love for me, the way they take care of me. So going in that 2010, which would have been January 2011 playoff game, the New England Patriots were number 1 seed that year. They were number 1 seed that year. In the first game of the season, we beat them at home. Second game of the season, we're 9-2. We're 9-1. It's 9-2 versus 9-2. And it's at Gillette, and they beat us 49-3. So coming into this game, it's like, this is just a formality for them to get to the Steelers, to beat the Steelers, to win another ring. Like, when I say the game was never close, like, the game was never close. Like, we legitimately, the little brother, to make it, bring it back to home, the little brother, who also was green and white, respectfully, little brother stole a win against Tom Brady, the number 1 seed in the playoffs. We were so excited, I guess we forgot about the next game. But I think for most people in that era, that's a Super Bowl-esque moment for them. We beat Tom, the division rivalry, in the playoffs. They're the number 1 seed. It wasn't close. Like, that's how they look at that era, that 2-year period. It's like, man, they did all the things. They had a player that should have won defensive MVP in Darrelle Revis. Only reason I didn't get mad is because he would have had to have beaten Charles Woodson, who is the greatest thing ever come out of Michigan. So my mouth was zipped in the matter. And then you have this moment where you beat Tom Brady, number 1 seed. Rex gets a chance to beat Bill, who they they infamously had like a cool little battle for those 5 years. So that's why, New York Jets fans, they hold it that in such. And I think why I resonate with them, a lot of them are Michigan fans. Like there are so many Michigan fans from New York and Ann Arbor. We know what the connection is, what I've said out loud, but they love the fact that it's me, Michigan, me, New York. I think that's why I get a lot of love too.
Yeah. Well, Braylon, you kind of answered my last question that I had for you. I was just going to ask out. You also played for the 49ers and the Seahawks. I was just going to ask what team was your favorite to play for and what moment was your favorite during your playing career. But I think we've covered that already.
Yeah, you covered it already. Touchdown against the Patriots. I called like a slant, scored a touchdown, and that kind of was like the play that incited the riot. It was like after my touchdown, Santonio Holmes caught a touchdown, and then Sean Green had the famous night touchdown run at the end of the game. So that was the moment. The Jets were by far my favorite. If I could have changed who drafted me based on what I understand about front offices, coaching, cities, how it works, like I wish that Pete Carroll and John Snyder would have drafted me. Like the Seattle Seahawks were the most well-run, as you see now, like they've moved on from the past and now it looks good again. Different quarterback, different head coach, University of Michigan. But he got it. Like Pete loved the guys that he drafted. Like I watched how he treated the guys he drafted versus how he treated the guys he didn't. Wasn't a big discrepancy, but you knew who he drafted. And then they took care of their guys. I like the organization. It was first class. Rest in peace to Paul Allen. I wish I would have been drafted by the Seahawks based on what I know now.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much, Braylon, for coming on. I got one last question for you, and I know Charlie kind of asked this a little bit earlier, but just more generally, what tips do you have for high level athletes that have a shot at playing in the NFL for them and their families? What should they be doing to prepare for that?
Yeah, first of all, make sure it's about you, because if you make it about everybody else around you, then at some point when it's not going well, you can easily tap out of it. You can easily say, what the hell with it. Like, make sure that it's for you. If it's for you, then you'll be the best because now it's for you, and everybody gets a chance to hitch their wagon to you. But make sure that it's about you, and then also just always remember your why. Like, always remember why. Why did you get into it? Because before there was NIL money, before there was transfer portal, before there was all these other things, you got into it because of blank. Never forget that, because if you can always pull back on what brought you into it, for me, it was very simple. I saw Jerry Rice for the very first time. My dad showed me some film of him in the late 80s, early 90s. He looked cool. He had the towel. But he was the greatest. And my dad just showed me him killing guys and looking clean. And it was smooth. And it was the 49ers, my favorite team growing up. But something about the helmet, the flair, and what Jerry Rice did connected with me. Like, and now with my wife, I was like, I enjoy the feeling of catching touchdowns because it always looked cool. So I'm very shallow, but I was always able to remember that. And I was always able to pull back on that. Like, what inspires you? Getting in the end zone.
Which you did often.
Hey, Dirty. Yeah, appreciate that.
Well, again, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun, and wish you all well, and great seeing you again.
Pleasure meeting you guys. Dave, anything for you, brother.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Braylon. Nice meeting you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, bro.
No problem.